Okay, hello, welcome back to Osaka makerspace. So now we're going to work on adding the carpet to our column. Now, I got really lucky. It was very serendipitous. This carpet is like the perfect length for our column. I mean, there's a little bit there that's extra, but I think that's alright. We can always clip that. And we'll clip it on the bottom side. Let's try to line up the top as best as possible. Now, the difficult part here is going to be, in my opinion, getting this to line up just right when we start to try to cover around our sensors here. So I was thinking of like building a box or something around this, but now I'm thinking what I could do is just make some holes in the carpet and then have them fit over these little, aluminum canistered like sort of casings. That might be the best way to do it. And then I could also have just a small hole for our button as well, so that we can set our sensitivity. So maybe what we'll do is, if we can, it's going to be a little tricky, and especially this sticks out a little bit, but maybe that's going to be okay as well. What we're going to do is we're going to definitely like staple this to the wood, and I think we're going to staple it. Maybe we should just screw it. Put a couple of screws. Might be that might be a safer way, so that if the cat does pry at it and even gets it off of the screws, at least then there's not going to be like staples that are poking out that he might run into or something, So screws would probably be a better idea, just considering the safety from a cat's perspective. So, all right. And I was also considering, what if we cut each side, right, instead of wrapping. But to be honest, I think wrapping is probably going to be the best thing we can do, because he's going to want to scratch on it, and if there's a seam on each corner, then maybe he's going to kind of get under that and pull stuff off. I don't know about your cats, but my cat is sometimes a tenacious little bugger. So maybe something like this is going to be better. Now, making sure that I'm lined up just right is going to be a little tricky, but I'm going to try to get close, perhaps by doing something like this and something like this. Get under here. I'll line up all my lines here on my cutting table, and then what we can do once we got that lined up, that looks okay. That's pretty close. We'll hold that. Grab our marker. Oh no, I didn't hold it very well. Well, it's pretty good. Looks all right still. Now, holding that as best as possible with our marker, we'll go around our canisters here. Yeah, we'll get a little bit of permanent marker ink on our canisters, but so what? Okay, that's pretty good for that one. And this stuff actually, as permanent as it is, it wipes off. And it certainly sands off. Okay, how's that looking? That's pretty good. No complaints from me. And we can just kind of estimate on where our hole's going to be for the button. Okay, that looks about right. And so to me it looks like the button's going to be right about here. Okay, that looks all right. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of ink there, but I've got some alcohol or something we can easily get that off with. And like I say, it certainly sands off. So let's see, where to put my cap? Oh, there we are. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let me find. Is that? I guess it's pretty straight. Let me find a drill bit that's gonna fit this, and grab the impact driver so I can do it over here, and we'll just try to drill that out real quick. All right. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with my super awesome box of bits. We are not terribly organized when it comes to our drill bits right now. We'll work on that. For now, it kind of works. So let's just have a quick look and see what we're dealing with here. That's not right. All right, zero that out. And okay, it's a 15.8. So like a 16. Do I have a 16? There's a 45. That's nowhere close. Here's a. I mean, I know these are for wood, but there's a 15. There's a 14. Another for wood, but it'll work in a pinch. I mean, this is soft stuff, so it's not like I'm going to be damaging the bit itself. What is that? It's a 12. There's a 26. Another 15. I like that. I think it's called a Fastener bit. I like that Fastener bit better though for this 15. There's a 20. A 20. 20 is, I know it's too big, but since it's carpet, maybe that's not so bad. At 20 gives me a little bit of space, a little bit of wiggle room. I'm tempted to use the 20, to be honest. No, that does really make me close to the edge of my carpet, which I'm not super fond of, but I mean, it's just right there on the edge anyway. I wonder, 15. It is too small, it just really is. You know what I have? It's not in my box of bits. It's probably in there by the. Oh wait, what is this? This is like a hole thing, a hole drill. This is a 22. Okay, never mind. I use that for making hand spinners. I have like a step drill, which would definitely get me past 15 and not have to go all the way to 20. So first, let's go ahead and use this 15. And then I'll go find that step drill real quick, and we'll do that one. Oh, you know what else I remembered is that I checked the size of the holes, of the poles on the cat toys that I'm planning on putting in here, and one was 8 and one was 9 millimeters in diameter, and so we will have to make these a little bit bigger. I'm thinking just go ahead and make them both 9. And how will I keep it from flipping out while it spins? Oh, maybe wrap a rubber band and just kind of ram it down in there. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that would allow it to be pulled free relatively easily, but hopefully not just fall out, you know? All right, let's just kind of get this as best as we can. Let's go a little bit over. And certainly when doing something this crazy, watch your hands. My hands are in a slightly dangerous position here. Okay, that's not too bad. Of course, I don't want to go all the way through and mess up my mat, right? So I'm just going to be really careful here. I can see what's happening. You can see we're getting into the cloth here, and so probably what I'll do is I'll use a knife and I'll cut out the rest of this. That looks all right to me, to be honest. Okay, maybe over just a bit more. That looks okay. All right. Yep, mat's safe. It's a mess now, but you know, let's see if we can't just dump everything out of here. And there was that bit of wire that I'd tinned. So I thought I'd tinned an extra piece of wire. Okay, there we go, that's better. Get all this garbage out of here. Not my nice screwdriver bit there. Alright, that looks okay. And let's dump that in the garbage real quick. Beautiful. Static electricity. It's super cold, rather dry. I'm gonna keep touching stuff so I stay grounded. I don't think I've ever had problems with killing electronics from static. Knock on wood. But I know that it can happen. I had some RAM chips go bad when I was in high school, but back then everything was not super reliable anyway, so I can't say for sure that it was static that killed it, but I know that especially RAM is susceptible to static, so it could have been. But other than that, I've never had anything actually damaged from static, so I try not to worry about it too much. And I'm actually not superstitious, but it's fun. It's fun to play around, right? And besides, how can you be superstitious when you're super unlucky? When everything's bad luck, you don't hope for good luck. All right, but it's not that bad. I jest. That looks okay, right? That's not too bad. Let me clean it up better, maybe from this side or later or something. You need a blade on this. I got some. I just bought some yesterday. Not too expensive either. They're a few hundred yen. 2 or 3, I think. Things are rather reasonable in Japan, actually. I was always told Japan is really expensive, and so when I arrived here, I was shocked at how like normal everything is priced, and how some things are like cheaper than in the United States. Now, the United States is quite cheap, and some things in Japan compared to the United States are expensive, but not like shockingly expensive, just a little bit more expensive. Things like beer, for example. Beer can be a lot more expensive if you were talking about malt-based beers. Wheat beers are usually pretty cheap. And then they have things here called chuhai, which is it's kind of like a cocktail in a can, and they're really cheap. So, and then things like video games, for example, your PlayStations and your Xboxes and whatnot, it's actually, I think, the same. Food in general depends on what you're talking about, but in general, it's about the same. When you go to the grocery store, or even if you go to like McDonald's or something, or even to nice restaurants, it's about the same. But the quality is so much better here. It's like eating real food. And yes, that does mean that in the United States, food is not so real. So I saw this video earlier on YouTube. Somebody was I didn't really think it was a very interesting video, to be honest. It was asking why do people eat Tide Pods, and the guy was reasoning that yes, Tide Pods might look like food, and I was thinking if your food looks like Tide Pods, you're eating garbage, right? I think I even made a comment to that effect. But yeah, I mean, if you're eating green, liquidy, and blue colored stuff, you're not eating good food. It's time to reconsider your diet. Okay, so it looks like that lined up really well, but it is a little bit small. So let me see if I can find my step bit, and if I can, that's going to be perhaps the easiest way to fix this. And if I can't, maybe I'll just hit at it with the knife until we kind of get a decent fit. So, be right back. Okay, I found my stepping bits. Let's see if there's one that's gonna... Yep, this will go up to 16. That's good. So, let's put this back into the box of bits. Alright. Now, the thing about these stepping bits as well, they're extremely useful. Keeping your eye on the correct size is sometimes a little tricky, but it's that third one from the top. Alright. Oh, this is not going to be easy since this thing is so floppy. Yeah, that did it though. That should be it perfectly. Well, that was much easier than I expected. That should also do it. Alright. Let's check. That's sitting somewhere somewhat safe. Alright, so are we? Oh, we're almost. Oh yeah, it's a little bit tight, but that might be good in the long run. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's so nice. Look at that. This is exciting. This is working really well. Okay, cool. Now, let's take that back out. It's a little tight. That's why I pull away from the camera so I kind of get it, but actually I'd like to show you. I'm trying to be gentle. I don't want to pop these cans right off of my sensor. That would not be a great thing to do. Yeah, they're a little bit twisty. Are these other ones they're a little bit twisty too? Maybe that's normal. Okay, excellent. Now we just need to make another hole, and I think we'll just stick with our stepping bit, because I think if we go up just to 6 there, which is the second one, that's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be tricky. That looks successful. Ooh. No, okay, a little bit more. Okay. Whew. Getting your fingers that close to a spinning stepping bit is, ooh, it's a little nerve-wracking. But I think we're okay here. I wonder if, oh well, that's okay. Looks all right. I wonder if my my little side snips here are gonna be able to cut this easily. Maybe not. Okay, off to the knife here. Try to get around that if we can. If it's a little bit hidden, I suppose that's not a problem. We'll know where the button is, and as long as we'll be able to actually depress it, then we'll be fine. It won't even be all that hidden because it's a little bit white looking on this side of the carpet, but maybe we can actually get that off of there if we work at it enough. Now, one of my upcoming projects that I want to make videos of is I have some like controls coming for building an arcade machine, And I'm going to use a Raspberry Pi and RetroPie, of course. It's kind of the way to go. And of course, only run homebrew and games that I actually own, of course. And but I did see some interesting things while shopping around for these. First of all, Amazon sometimes has ridiculous prices on things. And I know it's not Amazon's fault because they're not the ones setting the prices on these arcade things because they're being sold by third-party vendors. But like I ended up buying these things from AliExpress, and I paid I think it was like $35 USD. And buying them on Amazon would have cost at least $100, and sometimes as much as $2, which is just ridiculous. And so anyways, definitely if you're going to do such a thing as build one of these, buy your parts from AliExpress. Don't buy them from Amazon because you're dealing with crazy people. But another interesting thing, looky there. Okay, well, we've run into a slight issue here. And our slight issue is that we're a little bit too far away from the wood. And so, as a result, our button is recessed way too much. So what we can do, we'll pop that button out, we'll build up some super glue, and what also we have, there's a crystal on these, I don't know how many megahertz or whatever hertz it is, but there's a crystal on these control boards of the sensors, and it's keeping things kind of pushed away. And so we're gonna have to do a little bit of finessing to get this to work in an acceptable manner, but that's okay. We can finesse. And then what we'll do is we'll just stick some hot glue, and we'll probably hot glue the top part of these carpets in place like that. I think that's going to be just fine. So let's take this back off again. So as I was saying, I'm going to build an arcade machine. But while I was shopping, I found that they have the different kits for the controls, but they also have these arcade kits where you get controls and you get a type of a motherboard that has games preloaded on it. And we're talking, I mean, depending on how much you're willing to spend, there might be 100 games, 200 games, 400 games, 600 games like pre-installed on these things. And these are arcade games, and I'm fairly certain these are that many arcade games. They can't all be open source or public domain or anything like that. So do they actually have the rights to using these things? And since it's China, I'm very tempted to say probably not. So I'm really curious, because I believe I even saw these on Amazon being sold in Japan. Japan's pretty strict when it comes to copyright, so I really wonder what the situation is with that. I wasn't even tempted to buy it, to be honest, because of the copyright issue. So yes, I will be running primarily like homebrew type games. For example, the Mario War game, you may be familiar with that one. I don't know about IP rights and things like that, but I do know that it is a homebrew game, and so it's not like it's actually owned by Nintendo per se, although those IP rights, I wonder. But things like that, and super old games that are in the public domain now, I'll also be running. But I could also possibly, if I decided to forego the Raspberry Pi and hook up a computer, and I could run my Steam library on it. That would be really cool. Well, getting this thing off of here after having hot glued it. See, this is why hot glue is actually a really good thing to use, because It sticks so well. It's pretty strong while forgiving. Let's see. I don't want to cut through my wires or damage them in any way, but I do want to get this button up so that I can reposition it. Oh man. Okay, there it comes. There it comes. Hear and feel that wood giving way a little bit. That's a little disconcerting, but it looks like it's all right. Oh. Still stuck a little bit over here. There we go. Now we're talking. However, might also be running into a little bit of problem with the wires I stuck down here now, but I don't think so. I mean, it looks like there's probably space. I'm still stuck with glue. There we go. All right, that'll do it. Now, boy, I think my wires are still soldered properly. I mean, I can see one here on the side. It looks okay, and the rest of it though is so just encased in hot glue that I don't think there's any possible way that it's actually damaged. So we just need to lift it up an appropriate amount, which basically I think means using the glue that we already have kind of globbed on here. If we can fill behind and make this level with this the face of the wood, then I think we're going to be just where we want to be. So, hot glue to the rescue. Let's just fill it in a bit here. Let's let that cool first of all, because we need to build it up. And if we press down now, what we're going to have happen, let's use gravity to our advantage here if we can. What we're going to have happen is that it's going to squirt out, and it's going to not give us any support. We don't want that to happen. See, us blowing on it will help cool it faster. And of course, as it cools, it's going to shrink a little bit, but that's not a big deal. Alright, we're getting there, as you can see. Basically, with the top of this crystal is what we're going for. So just in case you don't know, these are crystals encased in, I don't know, aluminum and maybe some other things. And it's for timing. And so since this sends out a signal, and then it needs to very accurately measure the amount of time that it takes for the signal to return, the audio signal, that ultrasonic signal, and then it uses the crystal for timing. And your Arduino, or whatever you happen to be using, also has a crystal. In the case of the DigiSpark, I believe it's inside of something. Right, so here's the DigiSpark. I think the crystal is probably inside of the Atmel chip, although I'm not sure. It could be one of these other smaller SMD components. I don't know. I don't recognize it. It's usually in one of these nice large aluminum casings. So I just want to kind of remove some of this extra glue for now. I might end up putting it back, but not the exact same piece, but just to kind of keep it out of the way. Alright, so now I think what we can do is square behind. And then it should hopefully adhere. And maybe get a little bit on the side here as well, just to kind of help protect our wires, since we did have a spot where we could see the wires a little bit exposed. I want to keep them protected. So yeah, hot glue is, I don't know, it's a good thing sometimes, and sometimes it's a little bit kind of sketchy, or just a little too makeshift sometimes. But in situations like this, I think it's quite useful. The alternative is like epoxy or something, you know, and filling things in with epoxy is possible, but it really does take a long time to let epoxy set, and manipulating it is not the best. You could go with like silicone, and especially if it's silicone that you've impregnated with some type of a powder, like baking soda, or what's the other one? The other one that people use for making it set up faster and be workable, like putty. I don't remember right now. I don't think it's alum. It's something though. That would probably be okay. I wouldn't be against doing that. But for me, I do like hot glue, I must admit it. It's almost embarrassing to say, but it's so useful. It works so well. All right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I should let it cool just a little bit more though, before I start putting things on, because I don't want it to cool out of shape, you know. But we're getting there. It's so cold. I can just, even as I blow and I can feel the heat coming off the hot glue, it makes my hands feel a little bit warmer, and it's nice. So here in the makerspace, the way things are set up is basically this used to be a garage, and it was like a garage with an indoor area with a kitchen and a bathroom and everything. And even though I've heard this used to be a mahjong parlor, I mean, I guess it must be true, but was it a mahjong parlor immediately before we took over? I'm not convinced, because it really just looked like a garage. And so we installed some walls and doors and whatnot, all by ourselves, and a counter and everything. And I think it looks alright. I mean, it's clearly DIY, but it looks alright. And we put in some acrylic windows, and there's not much of a draft. There's a slight draft, but that's just kind of how it goes, I guess. A lot of things in Japan have drafts. But so yeah, so in the wintertime we keep the heat running to keep it warm in here. But probably we need another heater. This is primarily an air conditioner that just has a heater function, and it's probably not big enough for the entire space that we're trying to heat. And the workshop area is just constantly open to the elements. Well, not all the elements, just to the cool and the heat, but it's covered so rain doesn't get in there and everything, you know. But so anyways, when it's winter, it's alright from about waist high up, but man, your legs just get cold. This is a surprising aspect of life in Japan, even in apartments and everything. Now, when we're talking about Hokkaido, it's a different story altogether. They properly insulate things, but the rest of Japan is very poorly insulated, to be honest. Winter is cold, summer is hot, and that is a fact of life. So if you're ever planning on coming to Japan, be prepared. Know that in the summertime, wherever you are, will probably be, well, I mean, unless you're like in an apartment store. Those places, they tend to keep it super cold in the summer and super hot in the winter. But if you're ever going to somebody's house or apartment, or you do the Airbnb thing, be aware it's probably going to be cold in the winter and hot in the summer. It's just kind of how it goes. I think most people don't expect that. I didn't when I came. Okay, I got a little fruit fly buzzing around. Ardy would love to chase that. Alright, our button should be nice and solid now. Let's give it another little fitting. I think we're going to be in a better position now. Oh, wait. Well, I'm getting button presses. Okay, there we go. I don't want the button to press unless I'm trying to press it, that's for sure. Well, I mean, we're kind of just right there where we want to be. Yeah, actually, now that I've kind of got it properly inserted, oh, that's kind of really good, because it's a little bit hard to press the button, but if you really kind of put your finger in there, or maybe a pen or something. Let's use the end of my thing here. It's easy to press. It's not hard to find. It's right there. Well, we're real close. I mean, it's kind of at the top of the hole. I kind of wish it were a little bit further down. What I could do, and what I'm going to try to do, is heat this up using the tip of my hot glue gun. And if I can, just press it down a little bit. I may not be able to sufficiently heat it. I might have to use like a heat gun, but then it's going to be a mess. Maybe I won't bother with that much. Maybe I'll just see if I can coerce it with a little bit of force. Although it's very likely to just spring back into position due to the nature of hot glue, which is one of the reasons we like hot glue. Well, okay. I wonder what will happen if I, see, I don't want it to press on its own. I want it to be pressed. So I think what I'm going to do, real quick, I'm going to clip this out. Just remove the top part here. I hate to do it. I tried to avoid it, but I think it's going to be the best option. There we go. Just expose the entire button. Yeah, I think that's going to be our best solution. Not the most beautiful solution by any means, but the most effective and trustworthy solution. Let's see if I can get this back onto the workspace here. Yeah, I mean, you can just, you see the button now really well, and it's very accessible, and I think it's still probably sufficiently recessed so that it's not going to get accidentally pressed. So I think that's okay. And I will also try to somehow either put something behind here and glue it into place, or I'll just build it up with glue, but so that this area is not so floppy. But okay, that's how we're going to go with that. How are we on time here? I think it's about time that we take a break and come back in the next episode, as it were. I was really hoping we'd be done with this by now, but things are just taking a little bit longer than expected, and that's to be expected. But we're getting close. Look how close we're getting. I might have to figure out some way of working with this carpet though a little bit better. than what we are because it's quite stiff. It's a little bit stiffer than I was anticipating. Or if I go ahead and I screw it down, that might allow me a little bit better working conditions here. Or what I think is probably going to be the answer, what I'm going to do is, yeah, because look, this is definitely going to apply pressure to my circuit board here. I can already see how it's going to do that. What I might do is go ahead, secure it to this side, and then give it a little cut with my knife. Just a little cut right around in here somewhere, so that it really just kind of can flop over. That might be the best way to do it. And just try to get through some of that rubber. And maybe even cut out a little notch, not all the way down, but enough so that it'll easily bend over. That might be what we'll have to do. Because I hate to. There's too much soldering going on here on the side. I can't trim that board, so we'll have to just modify our original plans, but that's okay. Alternatively, cut it all the way through, and as I said before, just put a piece on each face. That might be also a way we'll have to go with this. Okay, I'm going to think about it a little bit, and when I come back, we will go through with my plan. I might even actually, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Bye.